Hello, this is Gary.
Gary, it's John.
John, how's it going?
Pretty good, thank you. How you doing?
Doing good. I'm just glad that we're getting to talk again, and nothing's gonna stop us. Nothing's gonna stop. Let's
Oh,
sing it together. No, I'm
no, I don't think so.
yeah,
But
right. No, I don't
I
think.
wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thanks. I need it. I need all these good vibes coming. So everything's been going good, huh?
Yeah, just got back off the road and uh, you know, just healing up before we go out for a 7 week extravaganza. But
Yeah,
looking forward.
sure. Yeah, that's a pretty good stretch there. So you're all prepared for all that, huh?
Well, yeah, you can't really be prepared for that kind of stuff. But it's glad to be out and working.
Yeah,
You know.
that's it. Sure. Especially after all the stuff we've been through the last few years. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've got a new EP out called Anything, released back in May. I've been listening to it. Sounds awesome. And let's talk about that because I've been listening to it and I'm thinking, man, your voice hasn't changed at all. So what happened? How's your voice stay like that after all these years?
Well, it's a mystery to me. I don't actually uh, worry about my voice too much. My major concerns are keeping the band in tune and on tempo. The rest of it, I never really think about.
Right.
Um, but you do the best you can. I mean, I haven't really got a system. I just go out there and do it. But it's still with me,
Right.
and it's pretty forceful, and I'm probably singing better than I have done ever. But after saying that, it might just go away.
Well, I hope
You
not.
know.
Yeah. Well.
Well, me too. But
Yeah.
you do the best you can, show up, and mean it,
That's
and
right.
that's all you can do, really.
And when you're singing, you actually believe in yourself. You believe in the songs that you're singing, right? It's powerful like that, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I can't imagine going out there and not meaning it. I think something like "Missing You" has a life of its own. Uh, the songs just sort of sing themselves at some point. I mean, I know it sounds a little arty, but I mean, you don't get in the way of the song. You just shut up and sing, and everything else will just follow you. You know.
Right. And so the new EP called Anything and the single Anything, it reminds me of the old days. Now, how did you come about recording this EP? How did that work out?
Well, I've had the songs in my back pocket for about 2 years. I made three of the songs off the EP at Boom Studios, Sonic Boom, in Jersey with my old friend. Uh, well, a lot of people came by to play on it, but Anthony Kryzan, me and him have been working together for about 25 years.
Cool.
He's an old friend of mine, and we just hooked up and wrote three songs over a weekend and recorded them. So they were just sitting there for a year, and I'm thinking, what do we do with this stuff? With the world being where it is, I thought it might be a good idea to do something really positive and, you know, do something to elevate people rather than sing the blues.
Yeah, right.
Uh, and that's basically, that was the rule of thumb. It was a case of trying to bring something to the party that was positive.
Right.
And it all worked. I mean, the first two songs, Anything and Lifeguard, they're kind of like summer songs. And it just all came together. I mean, we just knocked it all out without even thinking. And it all coincided with this long tour that we're about to go on with Rick Springfield and Men at Work. We got 7 weeks of that with headline dates in theaters and festivals uh, on the days off. You know,
Right.
um, so it's all come together. It's like a perfect storm, really. And it's like some things just are meant to be.
Yeah.
So it just happened like that. So we're not fighting it. It's kind of like, yeah, okay, this is going to be great. Let's go. And that's basically my story. There isn't a lot more to it.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a great time. Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And the songs though, I really like the song "Darling." What's the story behind that song?
Well, it was an old song that I found on a DAT tape. I was going through some old tapes because I got a shoebox full of DAT tapes and cassette tapes of song ideas that I've had for a long time. And I was going through those, and right after a demo of Downtown, which is another song I wrote for Temple Bar with Glenn Burtnick, this song came on. And the chord changes were interesting. And it sounded like I'd written it with somebody. Um, I phoned around to all my friends and said, "Did we write this? Is this?" But it's a very long time ago.
Right,
It might have been just me. I don't know.
right,
But I took it in the studio and recut it, and then recut it again. Changed the key. Had different guitar players come down. Neil Giraldo actually swung by one day,
cool.
and I said, "I'm drowning in this song. I can't finish it." And he went home and came up with a keyboard part, which was great.
Yeah, man.
And things like that. I mean, it's a song about Paris. It's a song about the the fashion world, young girls. The sort of uh, rive gauche, the sort of Parisian lifestyle, jet set.
Right,
It's been sung about before, but I think it's kind of got a vibe to it. It's a story song. For every song that you might hear from me that's really kind of straight ahead, there's another song that's kind of like got some story involved in it.
right.
But it finished off the EP really well. If you download the EP off iTunes or you use Spotify, you'll get Masters of War, which is the Bob Dylan song. That'll be an additional track. And it's all go. It's been out there for like 6 weeks, and we've been getting really serious airplay and serious at playing it. But what's a hit single these days?
Yeah,
Nobody really knows. And
exactly.
yeah, you put it out, and everybody's in love with it for about a week,
Right.
and then something else comes along, and they just lose interest. It's just the way it is now.
That's
There's so
yeah,
much information out there; it's difficult to keep people's attention. But that's why it's good to be on tour, because you're playing to an awful lot of people every day, every
right.
night.
So what's
So
so
you
what's
can keep it going.
yeah, so what's the goal though? If like you just said, if there's they don't play your songs on the radio, it's hardly ever will you even think about them making it to number one. Like the old days, you're like, yeah, this is going to be a number one hit.
Yeah.
What is your success in your mind for a song or an EP or whatever?
Well, I mean, when I put out Rough and Tumble, the album Rough and Tumble, the title track went to number one on classic rock radio and knocked out AC/DC and Jimi Hendrix and all this stuff.
Right,
And I thought, wow, here we go, And nothing happened. It didn't make any difference.
right,
There's so much music now being played and available at the flip of a switch that I think you have to be on the road simultaneously to bring it home. But like, I don't know how a band would do that these days that didn't have a reputation. I've been very lucky that I have all these hits behind me and the babies and Bad English and all the solo stuff. I've got quite a career.
right.
But if I was coming out for the first time now, I don't know if I'd last a year.
Yeah, that's what I was
The
wondering.
competition's just too fierce and it's way too commercial now.
Yeah.
It's big business. It's really huge business now.
So do you think like back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s, when when you're shining really big and all the fans like of today, like you said, but do you think those kids maybe listening today appreciate them like I did back in the day, or do you think they look at it differently?
Well, I don't know, I it's hard for me to sort of visualize what it's like to be 18.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole culture is different. It's multiracial.
Right.
There's like a lot of rap mixed into pop music
Right.
and country music. It's a very, very different scene. And there's only so many Paul McCartneys and Bob Dylans. There's only so many of those people, and they're becoming much older. And they probably won't be with us in 10 years' time.
Right.
And there's nobody behind them coming up with that kind of talent. It's maybe it's the style of music. It's guitar driven. It's written on the guitar. And a lot of modern music now is from the piano, and it's much more. Uh, it's like Broadway.
Right.
There's like big songs like Adele, who's brilliant.
Sure. Sure.
And but it's not the guitar driven stuff that came out of the blues and country and Britain in the 60s with the Beatles and the Stones and the Who. It's just a whole different thing now. It's a lot safer,
Yeah.
and a lot of it's PC.
That's right.
But I think it's disposable. A lot of it is absolutely disposable. It'll come out on Friday and be forgotten by Wednesday.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
people keep going back to the originals, the classic rock thing, looking for that seed of inspiration. But
Yeah.
like I say, time is passing.
Totally agree. You were talking earlier about the doing the Masters of War song. Now I know the EP is like a mellow, kind of a laid back, kind of
Yeah,
vibe
yeah.
to it, real cool. And then you got Masters of War. So how did what inspired you to do that song?
Well, it was the anniversary of 9/11, and I was on the road with Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo, and me and Neil are pretty tight friends. And I said I wanted to come out in the encore and do Masters of War. So my band and Neil kind of woodshedded and came up with a kind of a thing they could all play, and we did it. And I wanted to say something about 9/11
Right.
because it's steeped in kind of mystery, and it's like everybody thinks it's something it wasn't, and it was a lot of things and more that people aren't aware of. It was a huge, gigantic attack on America
Right.
because of foreign policy. But then you get the government involved and what government actually is, and it kind of makes you kind of uneasy. And then the war in the Ukraine happened,
Right.
and I still can't believe it, what's happening. But I wanted to say something about that kind of violence and at least have a crack at Dylan's song. It's a song that moved me when I was about 14, and it still moves me.
Right.
And I think I did a pretty good job of it,
Oh, you
actually. I
you
think
did.
it's okay.
It's great. I mean, I listened to it and it's great. I mean, you nailed it. But do you do you ever like when you're writing songs? You're talking about getting emotional with songs. Have you written songs that you listen to that you've written and kind of get emotional when listen?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, most of the songs from the 80s and 90s were extremely personal because, I mean, you're going through that kind of turmoil of being a young guy um, and living in New York City and the whole thing going on, divorce, engagement, and being kind of like a journeyman musician, always moving around. You listen to some of the stuff and you wonder how you're still on the planet, how you survived it. It's some of it was emotionally incredibly rough,
Right.
but I think it's the same for everyone. It's just that I was writing songs about it. But I look back at that and there's captured moments, most albums are like a time capsule. That you when you listen to them, you go back to the place you wrote it
That's
and
right.
sang it and
Yeah.
lived it. And maybe it's a good thing and maybe it's a bad thing.
Maybe so.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'll never need a shrink because I can
Right.
I can get
Exactly.
rid of all
No,
the stress.
I was about to ask you that too. Does you know, everybody deals with anxiety and depression, especially these days. What
Yeah.
what kind of takes your mind? I guess music kind of helps you there too, right? Like you said.
Yeah, I think if you can speak, you know, the great thing about songwriting is that you put it out there, and if you're lucky, somebody understands it. And when you're playing it on stage, they're watching you do this thing, and they understand you. And I thought it was kind of poignant that a lot of people go through life feeling misunderstood.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
being a songwriter, and dare I say, being a popular singer,
Yeah,
I'm kind of understood. And for somebody to have that in their life, to feel like they're talking and somebody's listening and understands, that's pretty major, you know?
sure, sure it is. Um, and looking back though, uh, in your early years, your solo, and you were the babies. Do you look back in those times with a smile? Do you ever think of regrets that you had back in the day?
Oh, yeah. I mean, some of the contracts that were signed were incredibly foolish. I mean, it was naive, but you would have sold your soul really to get a record deal. So it was part of the deal back then, as unfair as a lot of the record deals were, is how it works. And in later life, when you don't need a record company because you've already established yourself,
Right.
I have a small label, I have a distributor who puts the albums in the stores, and a lot of friends at radio. People play my stuff, and people show up to see me play. But in the old days, you needed that gigantic push to um, to make it work, and it cost a lot of money, but the rewards were pretty small. You
Yeah,
know.
I'm sure. Um, well, after the babies, I know a big band that you were involved with, which I love, which I'm a big Journey fan, of course, and I know you knew Jonathan Cain from the babies. So how was Hardline? I mean Hardline. How was Bad English? How did Bad English come together, and how does that stand out in your mind when you look back at Bad
Well,
English?
yeah, I was talking to Epic about a record deal, a solo deal, and the A&R department, the guy that's going to come down the studio and listen to your stuff and judge it, didn't seem to like anything I was writing, and it looked like trouble. But I did really want to be on Epic. They were the label in New York City and in America. And I, it occurred to me that if I started a band, there'd be more of us to sort of circle the wagons and just get on with it. So it was needs must, as we say.
Yeah,
It was if I put a band together, um, it'll be new, and nobody expects it from me. I might have got the idea from Tin Machine, David Bowie.
right.
It's hard to know what you were thinking 25 years ago, but I think that was the basic idea, was just to surprise people. I tried to find a lot of different musicians. I went to Europe, went to the clubs in London. Couldn't find anybody that was really a great player, and wound up talking to Jonathan Cain about it. But I was looking for a guitar player. But through Jonathan came Neil.
Right.
And then through Neil came Dean,
Right.
who'd been jamming with the night before in a club.
Right.
And then Ricky, was the obvious choice of bass player. So once the ball was rolling, it kind of solved itself. The problem just wasn't a problem after about a month. And we just made a blazing album. It was one of those things that was new and everybody was into it, and we just killed it.
Sure. Um, and did y'all purposely, back in the day, I know they just came from Journey. Did they purposely try to stay away from the Journey sound on purpose, or how did that
Uh,
work?
no, I couldn't. I mean, there was no point in sounding like the Babies, and there was no point in sounding like Journey.
Right.
And that was the only rule that I had when we came together, was that it wouldn't sound like something we'd done before.
Right.
I mean, I thought that was a fair thing to put on the table. It was like, why bother? If we're going to sound like this, let's try and do something that's more lyric driven and, edgy. And I think we managed it, you know.
Sure,
The
sure did.
second album, not so much. We were kind of in the studio trying to make it work again too soon.
Right.
And I think that blew it. We shouldn't have done that. But the record company were demanding a new record, and it was all like, we got to get you back in the studio. We got to have a new record. And foolishly, we did, you know. But I think it was way too soon.
Right.
And that was the end of that, you know.
Well, I know everybody knows the song "When I See You Smile." Does
Yeah.
And I know that you like to write songs, and it means a lot to you to make it as a songwriter. So, how did you feel when somebody else kind of came in and wrote this hit
Well,
song?
it was the guy, the A&R guy that we kind of circled. You know, he came in with this song. I knew Diane for years and years and years. She's been at my house and stayed with me and all sorts. I know Diane Warren very well. She's
Cool,
great.
cool.
And I felt honestly, just to be fair to the A&R guy, so he can tell his boss that he tried. I said, let's try the song. You know, it's not going to work, but let's
you had
let's
you had faith in it,
let's be good guys here.
right?
Let's like, you know, let's do something for this guy. He stayed out of the way. And we ran through it, found the right key, played it, and looked at each other like, Jesus Christ, it's number one. You
Wow,
know, and we didn't want it to be number one.
right?
We were just trying to be nice to the A&R guy. But it is one of those songs. Anything that gets to number one has it. You know, it's not something that you manufacture or cheat
Sure,
to get there. You have to be really fucking good to be number one.
sure.
And it was, you know, and that's the truth. And whether it's just a beautiful straight ahead ballad or whatever you think, it deserved to be number one. And God bless Diane, you
Yeah,
know.
really. She's had a few hits in her career, hasn't she?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
She's a
she's
powerhouse.
she.
She's really fantastic.
Wow,
I've worked with her on material, and when she gets around to where her bit comes in, people just shut up and watch.
wow.
I mean, she's really clever. And I've been writing songs all my life, but when I've seen her do some stuff like The Time Alone with You
Yeah,
on the
love. Oh
second
man,
batting,
yes,
that was,
love it,
you
love it,
know,
man.
I mean, Jesus, you know, I've been waiting all my life just to look I live for,
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
love
And
it.
it was just came out, I mean, it just came out of nowhere. We're all just like in a room with her, and she came up with that. It was like, Jesus Christ.
It's
But
great, great.
spectacular talent, yeah.
It just in the way which I loved the Backlash album. You know, I know it didn't get a lot of airplay and stuff like that, but it's just it's special. You know, albums. I wish y'all could have stuck around. I know, you know, but what was the nail in the coffin that ended Bad English? Would you say?
Well, you know, I think being the singer, everybody kind of wants your job. You know,
Yeah,
there's a certain amount of jealousy.
right,
Everybody's trying to shine brighter than you are.
right.
And all I'm trying to do is write songs and sing them with the band, you know. Politics, you know, competition, bullshit, really.
Yeah,
I didn't expect it, but it was there in spades, really, from the beginning. I mean, there's a lot of people that want to, you know, take the spotlight, and it's just how things are.
yeah. It happens. Um, and I know that Neil Sean has mentioned in an interview that he was wanting to work with you on a blues album. You going to be doing that one day?
Well, I tell you what, I think that Journey just put a record out,
Yes, it's called
and
Freedom.
I'm leaving in 2 weeks for 7 weeks on the road. Come back, have a week off, and then we do some more dates, and then we go to Holland, you know, and then we come back and do even more dates. So I think if me and Neil ever do anything together, it won't be this year, but it might be next year.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. I mean, he's a fantastic guitar player.
Oh yeah, my favorite.
Yeah.
I call him the goat. But anyway, that's but well, not an old goat, but greatest of all time. You know.
Oh,
But
I get it.
you know what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
that's great.
Yeah,
I
just
hadn't
saying.
thought of that. Yeah.
Oh, and so, but does it ever cross your mind? I mean, I know through the ups and downs, would there ever be like some kind of reunion in the bad English form?
Um, I don't think so. I don't really go near that. I think I would work with Neil, and it would be
But Neil
great.
would be good. Okay, that's cool for
Yeah, but
me.
I think that's, you know, and Dean's great and Ricky's great, but I have a lot of trouble with Me and Jonathan just don't get on,
Just
so
don't.
it's just the way it is.
Well, that it happens. Sometimes
Well,
you can work with some people, you can't work with others.
that's
Um,
true.
and that works. You know. Um. So the but going back forward to the new album and things like that. So, how did like your inspirations and things like that? Do you have to be in a certain mood when you're writing a song? Do what gets you in that mood? And you go, you know what? I think I'll write a song right now. What kind of gets you?
Well, it's usually a title, you know. Uh, it's as simple as that sounds. Something like called anything looks great in type, and it kind of you're looking at it, and it could be absolutely anything, everything. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And so, like with me and Anthony, I would just say, let's try something called anything, and we just start playing in G or whatever. And having that kind of thing in common. He's a brilliant songwriter, and I'm not bad. It's like kind of you just can't miss. And lifeguard, it's like
Right.
that means a lot of different things, you know. And if something has a double meaning, or you can suggest a third kind of thought in the process, that's where the magic is. It's like missing you. I ain't missing you at all.
Right.
I can lie to myself. There's always a twist in great songs. There's always a storyline, and the generic stuff is always going to be there. It's always going to be what it is. But the magic of really great songwriting is there's like Wichita Lineman.
Right.
That's a song.
Love that song. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's what it is. You can't embroider it. You can't talk about it, analyze it. It's just there, and it's eloquent, and it's got a beautiful arrangement. And when they were writing that song in the studio, well, they were recording it, and the writer, they were phoning him up and saying, "Where's the third verse? We need a third verse." And the singer just played the guitar where the Glenn Campbell played the solo on his guitar
Right.
to cover up for the fact that there was no third verse. That's
That's cool.
how ragingly sort of spontaneous that kind of genius is. It's like, but Glenn Campbell,
So awesome. Yeah.
yeah, I mean he's geez,
One of the best.
wow,
Yeah.
yeah,
They don't make them like that anymore, or they don't
they
make
sure don't,
none like
they
you.
sure don't.
They don't make them like John Wade anymore either. I'm just saying.
Oh well, well,
Just saying.
well. That's very kind of you.
It's a
I
true.
think you're
It's
right.
true.
Actually,
But it's
we're
true.
a dying breed.
Just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Now, one of my favorite singers of all time. Just gotta say it.
Oh, well, that's kind of you. Thank you. Thanks
Um,
a lot.
and but all this talking about spontaneity and things like that. Don't you have moments when you're recording? Do things just happen sometimes when you're recording, or you're doing something maybe you didn't plan, and it kind of fits, and you go,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's cool, right?
Well, I can be on the mic and singing, and I'll just change the lyric completely. And it's not intentional. It's just that the chords might be voiced a little bit differently, and it suggests something else. And the lyric you've written out suddenly doesn't mean anything. And that's where the twist comes sometimes. Like with Neil, Neil would play something in a certain way, and I'd just go off in a different direction.
Right.
And suddenly you're on a tightrope, walking in this rarefied kind of place, and it all clicks. I mean, I've had those moments all my life where you're in the studio and it just goes left. And it's not like, I've been around producers that say, oh, no, we can't be doing that. And I just say, yeah, we are. And just keep going
Right.
because that's the magic. And if you can get that in a studio, you've really won the lottery. That's the whole point of going in a studio is to capture lightning in a bottle, you
Sure.
know?
And so, like when you're recording though, at what moment though, if you're listening to like playing it back and everything, and you're listening to the song, and you're like, is there a moment where you go, okay, that's it, or do you just kind of let it just stop and say that's it, or is there a moment where you just kind of hit?
Well, I mean, there was a song I wrote with Ricky called Time Stood Still. for the second bad English record.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to Neil, hey, why don't you put an acoustic guitar solo in the front of this thing just to see what happens? And Neil's great. He'll try anything. He's like, well, he's just Neil. I
Yeah.
mean, he's a very good natured guy, wants to work on anything at any time of day. He wants to go. It's not about politics. It's all about music. And he wasn't like, well, why should I? He said, yeah, all right. So he pulls out the acoustic, and we're all sat there, and he's tuning up, and then the producer rolls the track, and the guitar solo you hear before Time Stood Still comes in, that was his first take.
Oh wow.
And I shot out of this. I was at the back of the room in a couch, and I shot out of my seat and screamed, "That's it!" And Neil was just getting warmed up, but that was the first take,
That's
and that was
great.
like you talk about lightning in a bottle, without really thinking about it.
Wow.
It was gigantic. And he tried 4 or 5 different takes, and none of them were the same.
Wow.
He just caught it first time.
And that yeah, that's magic. That's magic fingers, as Steve Perry
Yeah.
called it. Yeah, that's really cool. That's a cool story. Um, and so when you're writing songs, though, is it easier for you to co-write with somebody or just to write by
Yeah,
yourself?
I think I've got, I think, what's that? Attention deficit,
Oh yeah, ADD.
whatever. Yeah, because I can write by myself. I don't enjoy it. I think I'm always sort of like my thoughts are jumping around. If you put somebody in front of me to bounce off, it's a piece of cake. It doesn't matter whether the other person puts in 20%, 10%, or 50%. It just doesn't matter.
Right.
But having somebody to focus on that you can't just, make an excuse and stop. You know, you, you have to go in there and get it done. And that's really a great thing about collaborating, like with Anthony Crisan. It's like we have the same mindset and want to throw that curve into the song.
Right.
And no, it's great. I mean, I've written some major stuff by myself, but like I say, I don't enjoy it anywhere near as much as achieving something with somebody. It's like making a record. Nobody makes a record by themselves.
Right.
The secretary on the door outside taking calls, she's involved in it somehow.
Sure. Sure.
And the engineer and the co-producer, whatever it is, everybody in the band, everybody's got a say, and everybody has input. Really.
Yeah, that's really awesome. You got to think about it like that. Everybody's involved. Is one big,
Yeah.
creation together. That's
And if
awesome.
somebody's swimming against the tide and doesn't want to be there, or is making it political, or being weird, or whatever the fuck it is, it ruins everything.
Yeah, and
It
that
really
happens.
does. And it's like a spoilt thing. It's like being a child. And I've seen people do it.
Yeah,
But these days, I'd just either A, leave, or B, say, straighten up and fly right, or you leave.
yeah,
But I was always a little bit too polite with that stuff and trying to understand what was going on. But now I just wouldn't put up with it.
right. Well, tell me this though. I was just thinking about this now. Have you ever been like to just randomly went to a karaoke bar and heard somebody singing a John Waite song or a bad English song, something like that, and just kind of sat back and listened and just,
Well, actually, no, I haven't. I mean, I was in Japan with bad English, and this is my karaoke story.
okay,
But I just wanted to see some of Tokyo at night, and we'd had a very successful gig, and we'd been presented some awards somewhere. And I wandered off into the streets, and I went down a few side alleys and crossed the freeway and went into a different part of town. And I opened this tiny door, and it was the smallest room you've ever seen. It was probably about as big as your bathroom, and there was all these really expensive bottles of whiskey behind the bar, and there's maybe 5 businessmen sat at the counter, and there was a TV prompter, and I said hello, came in, sat down, and I look like I'm from rock and roll hell, really. But they were glad to see me.
right.
But they were passing the mic down the bar, singing "Yesterday."
Oh wow,
And then they gave me the mic, and I sang a few lines and said, "That's enough," you know. But that was the last time I've done karaoke by myself with a bunch of Japanese businessmen
That's
at
cool.
3 in the morning, blind drunk. It was great, you know. But just one of those great memories, you know.
Yeah, you don't do that all the time. That's yeah.
No, you don't know.
That's cool. Um, or tell me this now. I know you got some big plans coming up for the tour and stuff like that. But what's something in your future you haven't done yet, you haven't accomplished yet, but you would like to do?
Well, I'm painting a lot and selling paintings. I spent 4 years at art school, and I never really stopped painting. But it seems like I'm being drawn back into that world. And me and Neil Giraldo are thinking about writing a musical.
Cool.
That's something we haven't done.
Cool.
Maybe I'd like to act for once. I've done some acting, but
Oh,
really take on something that was, you know, I mean, the great thing about actors is that there are a million different people in one person, or nobody's in there, and they can become somebody else really easily.
right.
Musicians identify very, very much with themselves. They know who they are. So it's difficult, I think, for a musician to act. But I would love to have a crack at something in acting.
Yeah.
But then again, every day is different. And I'm writing short stories. That's something I never thought I'd do. And I
Wow.
seem to have a talent for that. So maybe I'm going to write a book of short stories. In
Wow.
fact, I would say that's probably on my horizon.
That's really
Uh,
cool, man.
yeah, yeah. I actually, just to amuse a friend of mine, a girlfriend, I sent like a 4 part short story, and it was serious, and it only took like an hour to write the first piece, and then I just banged out the next 3 pieces um, in a morning,
Wow.
and it was I had a real. It was like singing. I didn't have to. I never knew what was coming next. It's like it was coming out of the ether, and I'm just writing it down
Wow.
and thinking one step ahead all the time. It's an odd thing writing prose, you know, but I
Yeah.
really love it, and I like to read. So that might be something that you might see from me pretty soon.
Wow. That's very interesting. Yeah, I'd be looking forward to that, and I'd like to see the acting. Now, to about the acting, would it be a serious thing or would it be a comedy?
Oh, I hope it would be. Although I would have a crack at anything. You know, comedy's hard.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm sure.
comedy's really difficult. Running around screaming and shouting Shakespeare. I mean, you know, if you can remember the lines, you can probably get through that. But I don't know. It would be one of those things. Like if I was an actor at this point in my life, I'd be doing off Broadway stuff, like tiny theaters,
Yeah,
and really doing stuff that was kind of challenging. Being a musician, people expect you to come out and play the hits and maybe come up with something new every couple of years. But I think if I was an actor, I'd be sort of way deep in the dark stuff by now. Yeah.
yeah, man. I'm trying to think of all these. I'm picturing you in my mind. Being like on Broadway or something. That I think it would work. I'm thinking it's gonna.
Hang on. To be or not to be? I don't know.
I don't know what. What? That's it. You've heard it first, right?
Really?
That's your
Yeah, yeah.
first audition for. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna.
That's it. The
I'm.
Golden Globe. Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
I'm gonna send this out to everybody, and that will be your tape
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
if you got it. But yeah, that's really cool though, man. That's really really cool. Um, and so I guess you could. So you got the singing, and you got the writing, and you got the art, and go for the acting. Just kind of, and it's all art anyway, right? So
That's
it
right.
works out.
Doesn't matter what you're doing. It doesn't matter as long as you're. I've said it before, but I think when you're creating something, you're singing the harmony with God.
Yeah,
You know, whatever God is, you are paying homage to it. You know, and
exactly.
it's a place that's really a wonderful place. You know.
That's that's beautiful. Yeah. To summarize what you were talking about earlier, talking about God, when somebody could write a verse or a song or writing a book in just a few minutes, that's God. I'm just going to
Yeah,
give you that
no, it
ability.
is.
I'm just
It
saying.
is. People don't. It's talent or whatever you can call it,
Yeah, but
but
yeah,
but it's speaking through you. You
sure.
know,
You know it
you're
is.
just a conduit. It's like, and people listen, and it's like maybe that's how we get messages from the eternal, and
Sure.
maybe that's what art is.
I really think so. I really do.
That's cool.
And I
Yeah.
and some people know how to get in tune with that, and you're one of those guys that can do it. And but I thank you for talking to me, man. I really appreciate you. Um,
Oh, well, God bless you. Thank you, man. Thanks.
and like I said, big fan of yours. Always loved your music. Looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. I'd like to see you on the road somewhere one day. Maybe have
Well,
some
we'll be coming. We've got this 7 week tour coming up, and we're playing everywhere.
awesome.
I'm packing one suitcase, taking one guitar, and my girl's not going to see me for 7 weeks.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
that's dangerous. Shoot.
Well, no, it's dangerous. Like you can wait. No, these days, it's really a professional thing. I can't
Sure.
believe some of the stuff you got up to as a kid, on the road.
Yeah, right.
But none of that makes sense anymore.
Nothing
But
makes sense anymore. I don't think.
no, it's I want to be in one piece at the end of this thing.
Hopefully you will. I was going to say, um, hope everything works out for you. Looking forward to, especially looking out, for the books and the stuff you've been talking. Man, that's really cool. And the Neil Sean thing. I would look
Yeah,
forward to that. That's really cool.
the future's great, man. The world might be on fire right now, but it'll get right. And when it gets right, we'll come back in harmony, and it'll be just great.
Amen,
I mean,
bro.
it's every few years this stuff happens,
That's it.
and I am positive as a person, but I truly believe that.
That's it.
We're just resetting the numbers, we're recalibrating what's going on and making it better.
And yeah, it's like coming full circle, and it's time to
Yeah,
get back to the good stuff, man. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you talking to me, John.
Well,
And
God bless you, man, and I'm glad we actually got this recorded.
yeah, finally, and I tell you this, and I don't want to jinx it, but they're gonna love this. Everybody's gonna love this. This was a great interview. I mean, on your part. I mean, I'm just some peon, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
But I'm just
they were
saying.
good questions, man. I enjoyed talking to you. That's why we're doing it again.
So cool
Yeah.
though, and I appreciate you, man. Yeah, be
Well,
safe.
God bless you. Hey, listen, if we get within spitting distance, come and see us play.
I
Come
should.
backstage, say hi.
I sure will, John. I sure,
All
I
right,
will. And then, yeah, tell the security guards to back off.
I will. Well, email me. Yeah. All
I,
right.
I
All
will.
right, Gary, man. I'll
All right,
see you soon.
all right, man. Thanks a lot.
Bye
All
bye.
right,
Bye
bye,
bye.
bye.